Today, we have Dr. Parwinder Kaur. She is an award-winning scientist, a passionate leader, and positive role model. And she is a mother as well. She is a professor in science for the next generation of diverse scientists to pursue their passion for science and discovery. She leads cross-disciplinary biotechnology research investigating Earth, biodiversity, and natural environments to ensure sustainable futures. She uses her expertise to reach people in new ways, connecting them with their surroundings through her diverse research teams, such as DNA Zoo Australia. She harnesses STEM to achieve maximized impact. In doing so, she believes this will help us tackle the bigger issues we as society are facing, bringing about solutions through fresh thinking rather than following usual norms. She has been recognized for her substantial contributions to biotechnology and scientific excellence by the prestigious Sciences Innovation Award by the Australian Academy of Sciences in 2013. She won the Microsoft's Artificial Intelligence for Earth Award for 2019 and inaugural Australian Sikh Woman of the Year for Excellence in 2023. Parwinder is a passionate science communicator and entrepreneur in the biotechnology sector, an active mentor for gender equity, a superstar of STEM, a woman in technology, Western Australia Tech Plus, star winner in 2022. Girls Tech International Ambassador and Diversity in STEM Expert Panel, member with the Office of the Honorable Edie Hussick MP, Minister for Industry and Science, Australia working to close the diversity gap in STEM. Parwinder has been recently inducted into prestigious Western Australia Women Hall of the Fame in the STEM category and is among one of the three first ever Indian origin women to be inducted since the inception of its program in 2011. Parwinder has been passionately promoting bilateral relationship between Australia and India, building better cultural and business understanding as she serves a mentor figure within the Indian community, where her research is absorbed and her successes are celebrated. Her role has been of significant interest to international, national, and regional media outlets like ABC, Sunday Times, SBS, India Today, Tribune, and Prime Asia TV, where the intersectionality of cause, gender, and cultural origins are of notable pride. Welcome so much, Dr. Parwinder Kaur. Welcome to the biggest Facebook group of Indians in Sydney. We will just start your interview. Okay, so tell us something about yourself.
First of all, namaskar, and thank you so much, Indians in Sydney and Priyanka, especially you, inviting me to be
And Nadeem as well.
and Nadeem, who's joining us in the background and doing all the heavy lifting. Thank you so much, guys, to the entire crew of Indians in Sydney. What an amazing achievement, being one of the biggest groups. I think that is absolutely incredible, and it is a real pleasure to be here and joining you guys today. Thank you so much. So, if we want to start with my journey has been, I would say it's been a blessed journey and a very rewarding journey so far. As we all like growing up have certain questions. I mean, kids have a lot of questions, and I was no different. I had a lot of questions, but most of my questions wanted to really understand where do we all come from. So evolution and everything around us really fascinated me, and I really wanted to understand. And growing up in India, my dad was in army, so I had an opportunity to live in various different parts of India. And while doing so, I also was very privileged to experience a lot of diversity. India is such a huge country with so many languages spoken, so many different cultures, practices. So I was very fortunate to be living in middle of all of that and learning it firsthand while growing up. And what it intrigued my curiosity about evolution and who we are and how we are surrounded by so many different, not just people, but also many other species, like different kinds of insects, butterflies, different kind of plants or animals, whatever you look around. And when I asked this question from, people who were most accessible to me, like my parents, my neighbors and the community I was living. Because I was living in a diverse community, I got a different answer from everybody, which was most of the time, coming from the religious faith they believed in, and that was like, oh my God, there's got to be this, something that kind of brings this all these theories together. And I looked to science, and I thank my chemistry teacher, who pointed me to DNA, and she said maybe DNA can answer your questions, and that's where my journey started. Studied born in India, studied in India until my master's at Punjab Agricultural University, and then I was looking to kind of, I was still not satisfied. There was still so much to learn, and I was just like decided to do my PhD. And thank you to Australian government who sponsors these international research fellowships. I was awarded one. It's a very prestigious one. It's open to the whole world, so it was it was lovely to be an Indian and being awarded that scholarship. Come here to Western Australia, to the University of Western Australia. I did my PhD, and now I supervise PhD students, quite a lot of them. And so it's been an incredible and a very rewarding journey, I must say.
Such a lovely introduction, Parwinder. So, Parwinder, could you please share with us some of the highlights of your 15 plus years of experience as a scientist in the field of biotechnology?
Yeah, it's been a while. So I completed my PhD in 2010, and since then I have been working as kind of like a full-time staff in a university as an academic. My area of expertise, of course, is DNA, and DNA is kind of like mostly embedded in the field of biotechnology. But I have, because I was so curious, and I kind of like always been one of those kids who did not want to know any boundaries. Or if somebody puts the boundaries in there, that kind of like intrigued me even more to sort of go and kind of break those boundaries. And that is exactly, I think, I have been doing in my career in biotechnology. So I have been practicing or kind of advocating for biotechnology without borders. So what does that mean is like disciplinary borders, like how we teach students or kids in school. This is science, this is maths, this is social sciences, or this is something else, has, or whatever subject. But to be honest, to be able to answer questions and to be able to achieve something like in terms of the curiosity, you need to break these disciplinary boundaries. And I have not just broken them when I was in the school, but since I have become a professor in a university, what better opportunity than to break those boundaries? So that is exactly what I do in the biotechnology sector. If you just take an example of DNA zoo, I have been able to decode or unpack the DNA at a highest possible resolution for not just plants, but also animals, also microbes, or like bacteria, and also like all the things you can think of which is life. And and that's, they're all different disciplines. Like this is called microbiology, this is called animal science, this is called plant science, and it's kind of like I brought it all together and I started to unpack all of that. And the underlying technology development has actually really helped me because I have been able to see things from a different angle rather than same disciplinary ways of doing things and pushing the things in that. But while I was doing that, Priyanka, the most incredible thing that has happened to me, that I learned that how many amazing, incredible superpowers everything around us carries. We always heard that whatever happened, life finds its way. And that
Mm,
is
that's
exactly what
true.
I have
Yeah.
been able to learn, that how life finds its ways. And that also teaches us that how can we find a way as a humanity or as a planet while we are going through all these challenges. God's, or whatever the superpower or whosoever the creator is, whosoever everybody believes in, has actually provided all the solutions around us. We just need to break those boundaries, and kind of look carefully around us and connect with us, connect within ourselves, but also connect with the environment we live in. And that's exactly my journey or my research in a very layman's term. Learning from nature, for the nature, for us, for a more flourished society and a planet for the
Mhm.
future. Yeah, so I do a lot of genomics, we call it, high performance computing. which I self-learned or self-taught myself because I was a plant geneticist by training, but then I become an animal geneticist and I become a high-performance computing person. At the same time, I do a lot of bioengineering, which is, these days tools of kind of like when you learn something in nature, how do you actually embed that into the current practices, make a better crop, which can be more salt tolerant, which can be more drought tolerant, or the current situation. So that kind of things I have been doing.
Very interesting. Your journey has been very interesting till
It
date.
has been. I jump out of the bed to go to work because I absolutely love what I
That's
have
true.
been
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. Okay. And what inspired you to become a pioneer in initiating and delivering research outcomes in biotechnology?
I think I kind of covered that a little bit in my my previous answer, but basically my inspiration comes from whenever anybody draws any boundaries, I want to break them, whether it is biotechnology or in any space. But at the same time, my curiosity to really understand where we all come from and how we are all connected, and by understanding and unpacking that, how can we actually make our future better and we can deal with the current situation or the current climatic challenges or current issues that we are facing in terms of a lot of calamities around us. And I think the solutions are here. We just need to look carefully.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And how do you approach cross disciplinary research in biotechnology, and what challenges have you encountered along the way? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the biggest challenge is I think because we still kind of teaching in our schools like, this is science, this is maths, this is social, or this is, arts and things. Whereas in a real life situation, when you say that there is a problem, you can't say that this is a chemistry problem or this is a physics problem or this is a, maths problem. Everything needs to come together. And I think this is the biggest challenge we've got in front of us. And I faced growing up in the education system in India, and it's no different here in Australia as I teach in one of the top 100 universities of the world. We just too much restricting ourselves by putting these disciplinary boundaries. It's not helping innovation. It's not helping the growth of the growth mindset for our kids to be able to go and champion the things that needs to be championed. And that was the biggest challenge, I would say. And then also in terms of being a girl, being the very first one in my family. Actually, I was the very first one in the 25 villages around from where I come from to do a PhD. So it was very hard. My mom and dad's been amazing supporters of my education, but it was still hard for them to sort of like, I'm 26. They should be. They really wanted me to like follow the path, get married, get settled. So that is what settlement means to parents when it comes to a girl child. Is like, when you're 26, 27, that's kind of like high time you should be. The marriage is left, right, and center rather than thinking about a career. So yes, it is, and I don't blame my parents. It's exactly how the fabric of the society or the community we live in. So it was hard to convince like, no, I actually will be better off doing a PhD because that's what my dream is. But then even after, like, for parents to think that what are the job pathways, because kids go through a pathway of doing a bachelor's, a master's, or a PhD and things like that, but a lot of times they don't lead to a meaningful career. And but you invest the best time of your year of your life, which is up to the age of 30, in sort of educating yourself. So I think a clear pathway, a visibility for society to see those people who want to follow this pathway, to see them meaningfully engaged in a workforce is very, very important. And coming to a new country, being a migrant, it becomes even more blurry, because you figure it out by the age of 26 what exactly the pathway looks like in India, especially when you are the very first in your family to go to university. But then you come to a new country, and you start from scratch again. So yes, if I may say that those
And
have been
when you
critical
achieve so
barriers.
much, it's such a proud moment for everyone, including your parents and your family.
Yes, it is. And I would say that I hope that that inspires many more like me to be
Yes,
able to sort of
yes.
say that
A
if
lot of women.
I can do it too.
Inspiring, very inspiring, I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thanks.
myself, I literally am very, I'm actually very proud of you. for bringing so much name and fame to Indian women.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what advice would you give to aspiring scientists and researchers who want to make a tangible impact in the field of biotechnology?
My first advice would be there is no shortcut to hard work. You
Mhm.
know, how many opportunities come your way, you must stay open to opportunities, and please do not ever think that this is impossible,
Mhm.
because nothing is impossible, nothing is too hard. And I mean, if I would have talked to myself 10 years before or 20 years before, I would have never, ever, even in the weirdest of my dreams, thought of doing things that I have been able to do today. So nothing's impossible, and you can do anything that you aspire for, but then you have to put in the hard work behind it, which
Yeah.
may not be visible to a lot of people, but there's no shortcut for that. And if somebody says there is a shortcut, I beg to differ in that space. So just keep yourselves open out there, and when the opportunities come, take it. Don't say that this is it's not in my field, or if it excites you, if it kind of touches you here, that this is something that I would like to do, and
Mhm.
who's stopping you? Go for it. You can do it.
Yep, that's true. Opportunities and support and your hard work is very important.
100%.
Yes. And what role do you believe collaboration and partnerships play in driving innovation and research translation in biotechnology?
So for me, the most, and I'm so grateful to actually born in India and live in India, and especially experience the diversity in India, because that what that taught me as a child, when my dad was posted every 2 years, and how much I hated it at that point, because I had to leave my friends and my comfort zone and then go again, start from scratch every 2 years, make new friends. But that actually gave me skills for a lifetime.
Mhm.
That I learned that how to really, first couple of months, you just watch people, you kind of be there in the back end and trying to really figure out the place and the dynamics in that place, and then you make your friends and you make your way through that new culture, the new place you have. And I think when I came to Australia, it didn't come as a shock to me, because I was so used to do that kind of a thing in my life. But the most important thing that I learned is how how to put yourself in a really, like, back seat, and actually put others around you when you're learning, when you're watching people, put them on the front seat. And that enables quite a lot of things in the collaborative spaces, because then you're able to you just not just kind of forcing yourself into a dynamic. You learn that dynamic before you find your little spot, and then you and lead by example has been the biggest thing that I learned as well. That when you say that you would like to achieve this, you need to first show that you have the aptitude and as well as the attitude to be able to do that. And when you actually lead by example, people follow you with more passion
Mhm.
than you just say things. So I think that's again, you got to work very hard for it, but at the same time, you need to learn to work with people, and do it as a collective, because
Yeah.
things become so much more fun when you do it as
Teamwork. Yeah. Teamwork is very
absolutely.
important. Yeah.
Teamwork is very, very
Yeah.
important. And I think when you learn to be empathetic to different situations, different cultures, different kind of walks of life people might be coming, and there is always a bit of a background to everybody, how they're behaving. I think once you do that, then you are in a good space to be able to collaborate and take the field forward wherever you are.
Yeah. When you said attitude and aptitude, I completely agree to you. And obviously, teamwork is very necessary.
Yeah, I say this to my students all the time. Like, I ask them what they aspire to be in, like, next 5 years or 3 years time. And
Mhm.
then how are they aligning? Like, okay, fine, you want to be here, and then you have an attitude, of course, because you really pushing towards that. But do you have the aptitude? And only we know our aptitudes. And if it's not, we're not born with it, I would say we can always work hard. And I had this example in my family. My brother is like very, very smart. He could just skim through the book, and he will fly in an exam, and I will slave that book entire night because I it takes me more time to break things down and really kind of digest them. So everybody is different, but it doesn't mean that you can't reach where you want to be, because you can always put a little bit more work behind it.
Yes, that's what I was telling Nadine yesterday. I said the other kids, other students take 4 hours to complete a assignment. I only take two because I
You're
literally do
gifted.
research quickly and I write in my own words.
Yeah, so there you go. Well done.
Yep, Indian women. Okay,
Awesome.
so can you share a personal experience where your work in biotechnology had a significant positive impact on individuals or communities?
Yeah, I think I can. The one project that I'm most proud of is DNA Zoo, and this was one of my Friday afternoon things that I started with Houston, and we just kind of trying to really unpack the DNA of some of the species that we were working in, and I was able to sort of launch it at Australia level because I was working very closely with America, but then I've seen the example of turmeric in India, right? So turmeric, the whole world knows that turmeric belongs to India, and there is so much intellectual property that sits in India because our mums even, like
Antiseptic and
everybody knows,
antioxidant.
take a little bit of turmeric and pepper, the sore throat is gone. Take a little bit of
Mhm.
turmeric and honey, and this is fixed. You've got a swollen body or anything like that, you take a little bit of turmeric in the milk and you're good, right? So but I don't know how many of our listeners know, but the turmeric, all the rights and intellectual property is patented by US.
Oh,
So
very,
everything
very
that is coming out
great.
of the turmeric industry, actually the royalties flow to America, which
Hmm.
is not right, and this is something that
It's quite
I
interesting to know that.
it is, and this is exactly same thing has happened in Australia with the First Nations people. Kakadu plum has is a very highly regarded medicinal plant. Okay,
Mhm.
and all the rights are reserved by again America because
America.
they figured out, it's an American multinational company that kind of figured out how to extract the whole thing. So the whole process is patented. Although the First Nations people, it's their intellectual property, they know it, but they kind of work for that and pay all the royalties goes to that company rather than it's coming back to the people who care for the country, and whose country is this, right? So it should be coming to the economy of this country. So that is exactly what I wanted to do through DNA Zoo. As
Mhm.
the biotechnology has progressed and now the era has come that we are even able to 3D print DNA, which means 3D print life in our labs. Okay, so that's exactly what we are talking about. So when you're able to do that, you can do actually so many incredible things by learning from Mother Nature. And I mean, in Western Australia, we host 10% of world's biodiversity. That's a huge bioeconomy if you're looking into the future. And if this region or Australia or India, they're not going to take responsibility to kind of fine tune or get the highest possible resolution in a scientific way to their species, then somebody else is going to come and do it,
Right.
right? So my dream was, like, when we started in America, like, I have been participating in developing that whole program, and it's like, we're going to do this globally with local contributions so that locals connect, locals contribute, locals connect to those things which are done from their country, and it should be by them as well. So that's when we started DNA Zoo in 2018 in America, in Houston. I was the very first one to launch DNA Zoo Australia from Perth as a University of Western Australia as a lead node. And then we were joined by Argentina, Russia, China. I've just launched DNA Zoo India in March
Yes,
in Tamil
that's
Nadu.
what I was about to ask. You didn't
Yeah, so
mention India.
basically we are a global consortium now. We are across more than 9 countries plus more than 120 plus partners. But the whole purpose is, let's learn from nature, let's unpack, let's conserve these species. They need a little bit of a hand and a help, like for example, our koalas, our like black swans here. The virus is really, really deadly. The influenza virus. So I have been able to identify exactly what is happening in the genetic level that we can protect them, vaccinate them, or have a better way or a solution. Same way, I have been able to do many other species which really require some sort of. It's like, you see two animals, if they look different doesn't mean that they're genetically different. So it's same happened with our koalas. Koalas is the iconic Australian species, and their numbers were declining. So Australia started a program to sort of increase those numbers. And what happened is they picked the two parents which kind of look different, and they kind of crossed them, but we ended up inbreeding them. So when you inbreed a species, you lose the genetic diversity. And what I mean by genetic diversity is, um, the nature has given us a lot of genes to tackle many different things as we experience on a daily basis, whether they are viruses or whether they are different kind of environmental situations, and we are equipped with that. But when the parents come cross, those two genetic makeups get together, and if they are not diverse, you end up losing a lot of your
DNA.
powers
Your powers.
genetically, so that inbreeding is actually can lead to extinction for any species. And that's exactly because when you lose a lot of your genetic powers, you're going to be more prone to diseases, you're going to be more prone to climatic situations, you're going to be more prone to many things that you've never even imagined. So that is why genetic diversity is very important. It's our superpower, and it increases when diverse backgrounds come together to take the generation forward, and it decreases if the inbreeding happens. So that's exactly what I'm very proud of, being able to unpack that, so that the conservation in Australia or around the world is data driven, is we know exactly what we are doing rather than going blind, and just shooting in the dark. Because we have the technology, why are we still shooting in the dark? We shouldn't be. It's too precious to lose.
Yes. Yes, true. Again, I would say America has the attitude and aptitude. That's why they're leading the world.
I believe they invest in their R&D. They kind of get behind it, and this is exactly what I have been trying to do, working with the federal government.
Mhm. Mhm.
Where we should be talking about diversity in everything, because diversity is the way forward. Whether you talk about nature, whether you talk about biodiversity, or whether you talk about economy and a country's workforce, diversity is the way forward, and is the only way forward.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm very curious to know, so you work only with animals and plants, or you work with human beings as well?
I work with anything that has DNA in it, and any form of life has a DNA in it.
Any form of life has
Yeah,
DNA.
yeah. So
Have you ever
that's how I've broken the barriers of the disciplines.
have you ever
I have
worked with actual human beings? Yeah.
Yes, I have worked with human beings. I
And
have
what
worked.
was the outcome? Like I'm
So
very it's
So
interesting.
humans are very boring genetically, because we've only got 20,000 genes, and we've got two
Mm,
copies of every gene. Whereas all the other species, you talk about the bread you eat, the wheat, it's
mm,
6 times the size of the length of the DNA, 6 times the size of humans. It's got
yeah,
6 copies of every gene. It is way more interesting than humans. So the outcome of me working with the humans is like humans are boring.
they're boring. Are we
And we
talking
can
about
we
the
can do so
XX?
much better.
Yeah. Are we talking about XX and XY chromosome, or is it something else? Or
Yeah, no, I mean we've got quite a lot of chromosomes other than the
chromosomes
six
as well?
chromosomes,
Yeah.
but with humans, like the X and Y chromosome, they started with 100 and like same number of genes, and over the period of time, a Y chromosome shrinking. So the X chromosome is exactly intact as it was millions of years back, but Y chromosome's been shrinking and shrinking. We still don't know whether it is just the dumb design or it's just the wimpy Y chromosome, I call it. But the future, to be precise, the Y chromosome, if the same way keep losing its genes, it's only left with 45 genes now, whereas compared to 169 genes completely intact on X chromosome. So seems like the nature is selecting for X chromosome. And in the period of evolution, it's about 4.56 million years that you will see no Y chromosome on this planet. So
Really?
sorry,
Ladies,
Nadeem,
men.
if you're listening, you've only got 4.56 million years to survive on this
To
planet,
survive.
unless nature comes with some other interesting way of
The
evolution,
solution.
which
Yeah.
always happens. Nature's always surprising. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, is this the reason like all these diseases are, we're talking about like some things like autism and Asperger's disease. Is it due to the Y chromosome shrinking and losing its
No,
strength?
there's nothing established in
Nothing,
that space, no, because yeah, the genes are like sex-related genes, but
okay.
yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of work going on in that. It's not,
Yeah.
I'm not focusing in that area. I have been
Yeah.
more fascinated by everything else on the planet rather than just trying to focus on ourselves. I
Yeah.
think we've got plenty of work done on
Fair
ourselves.
enough. Fair
Yeah,
enough. Fair enough.
yeah.
Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so as a positive role model in your field, what message would you like to convey to the Indian community in Sydney regarding the importance of pursuing career in STEM field?
I would highly encourage everybody to really reflect because a lot of times I've come across people who says, I'm not doing anything STEM, whereas we are all doing STEM the morning. The moment you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your tooth, the toothpaste you're using, the technique you're using, it's all science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So first of all, we all need to realize that we are all part of the STEM, one or the other way. And we need to make sure that we have a very positive participation in the workforce related to that because it's really, really important. Um, all the companies who are working in the STEM discipline are either they're making products or they're working towards a future product, right? And it has happened in the genetic research and a lot of vaccine developments because there was mostly it's focusing on one particular type of population. We all know that it's just the white or the Caucasian ones because we've never participated or we don't have the perspective in there. So it's really, really important that we participate and not just participate but also prepare our next generation to be actually championing this thing because otherwise we miss out and we
Mhm.
are different. Everybody is different, so the things has to be developed and people need to know that there are other types of people or other kinds of genetic backgrounds available. But at the same time, I really want to say one thing to every boy or a man who's watching this, that it's just in the probably in the DNA, if I may say, in the girls or the X chromosome to always take a back seat and think and prioritize everything else in their life. And they normally do not champion themselves, or normally they just put themselves as the last person or the last thing to champion. So please support any girls, any women around you, because they can use that little inspiration and a little motivation that they can do it too. They have everything in them, and you can support them. To be able to do that. I say this to my son also because it's very important. It's a teamwork, it's a collective, and until now, females only see their role, or women mostly see their role in caring for the society and caring for the country. But when they go and become scientists, when they go and become CEOs, they are still caring for the country, they are still caring for the society, and we are going to be much better society if both the perspectives, the men and the women, both are there and playing an equal role, not just that imbalance, like you stay here and then that, because those leadership positions take a lot out of you. Leadership roles require not just a 9 to 5 commitment, they do require going to the dinners, networking. uh, I mean, it's very hard for women to do it if they do not have the right kind of the men in their family supporting them and saying, "Hey, you go. I'll cook the dinner tonight. I'll take care of the kids tonight, like you do this all the time for me." So please make sure that you give them that little. And we need more Indian women. We need all different women. We need you in the leadership roles because it's very, very important for the country and
Yep.
for the planet.
Yep. Very, very important point. Yeah. Men should know that women like Parwinder can save you.
Everybody,
Yeah, from getting instinctive.
if we have both the lenses, I think we are much better off as a society. But
Yeah.
if we only have one gender on the top and the rest other
Mm.
gender is only on the middle or the early level, I don't think so that's doing any good to us, because the perspective is
Mhm.
not fully you know,
Yep.
yeah.
Yes, the other, when coming to this, what you said. So I was reading this article the other day. So it said that, women and men working on the same post, same, like everything is same, but the salary is different. Women are getting way less, like they're getting paid very, very less than their peers or the same person who's a man and working on the same level. So that's very interesting and very, very shocking as well.
It is shocking, and it is really, really sad that it is
Very
really
sad.
still happening. And that is one of the reasons, because financial freedom is more than anything else, you
Yes.
know. And
Mhm.
it in a normal household, we all do this, right? You
Mhm.
have kids, you have family, you need to make sure that financially it's a viable situation. And if a husband and a wife for the same leadership role or a same position, a husband is getting more salary compared to the wife, who's going to stay home and look after the kids? It's just a no-brainer, right? So
Mhm.
this thing has to be corrected, because
Right.
otherwise we will never be able to achieve what we are trying to achieve, having that plain equal society and with an equal opportunity, because financial things are the key driver. As a family, everybody thinks about that. So as a country, everybody thinks about that. And at the same time, when I mentioned the leadership roles, Priyanka, it is the truth that, most of the time, when a CEO position is offered to a man,
Mhm.
he wouldn't even think second time, like, whether it's going to require this level of commitment after hours and things like that, whether I should go for it or not. It's just given, yes, great opportunity. But whenever a leadership role like a CEO or anything like at that level is offered to a woman, the first thing she thinks is, am I going to be still having a viable family model in here? Or do I have to choose between my career and my family? That shouldn't be the situation. We shouldn't be choosing. Why we can't have it both the way the other gender does?
Yeah, I would say the problem is the way we are raised. We are made to think that men are superior, women are not. You are being raised to take care of the family, take care of the kids, whereas men are supposed to go out and work. Well, we are also working. So we do expect that 50-50 partnership in house
Yes.
as well, but not many men do it. Sadly, I would say that please do share your household work as well.
Absolutely. And,
And
and
I'll
and
tell
to
you,
the women, I'm sorry, I'm Priyanka, I'm cutting you, but I really want to say this to all the women. We have the power to change it, because we are raising our kids. So let's raise our kids, our boys and girls, in this mindset that this is not a discussion they are having in 10 years' time. And we do have the power to change that mindset, because somehow women does have a more influence on their kids, because we do happen to spend more time and care for them. So I feel very positive that we have a lot of power to change and shift this narrative, and so let's do this.
yeah,
Yeah.
such a beautiful, very important message to
Thank you.
men.
We can do this. Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
Nadeem.
Sorry. And I do remember one thing. My brother, he owns a store, a clothing store. So while he was getting his shirts made, there was a tag on his shirt which was very interesting. It said that, I can be washed by men as well. I won't get spoiled. They actually got a tag on the shirt saying that I can be washed by men. I won't get spoiled. And I
No,
was
and
laughing about it. And
it's absolutely true. I mean, I
yeah.
can give you one example. When I was growing up, one
Yeah.
of my uncles said to my dad, "Are you mad? You're sending her to the university. She's living in a hostel and she's still not married, and now she's gonna go to another country and live by herself. It's like, giving a freedom to a girl is so risky. I mean,
Mm,
no. I mean, why? Have we ever thought of
so
a
sad.
when we do this, like that question was never raised for my brother, but this question was raised for me. So I mean, thanks that my dad didn't take it seriously, or he has a very different mindset and he's raised me in a very different spot, like. But it's not the case. But society do question girls, having the freedom to and an opportunity. So this is really sad, and we need to move that narrative forward, because it's 2023, guys. We're living in 2023. We're going to Mars. and we
Yeah.
can exist still on the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky you were raised in a good family. So am I. My parents were very supportive as well. So the education for girls in my household was very important. They actually told us to study all the time. So that's how I think we got here where we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I have a very interesting question for you. It's about us. How long have you been a member of Indians in Sydney and Facebook group if you are? And do you have any feedback and suggestions for us? Like any specific areas do you think the Indian Sydney Facebook group can further contribute to the local community and society at large?
I've recently joined your group and I am so
Mm.
thankful that I have connected with you guys. I have been like following the Facebook page now, and amount of like different connections and different opportunities you're sharing and championing the community. I think you guys are doing an incredible work, and we need many more groups like this. And we need to get behind such community groups because that is exactly how we are going to give the platform to our community and the people who are doing incredible work, like you and Nadeem and the whole team are working behind the scenes to provide this platform to the community. So well done on you guys, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have only praises for you guys, and I look forward to stay connected and contribute meaningfully.
Thank you so much, Parwinder. Likewise, we are so happy to have you here today. So now, while going, I have a last question for you.
Sure.
What role do you believe social media platforms such as Indian City Facebook Group play in connecting and mobilizing the Indian community for various causes or initiatives?
I think in a country where we are migrants and we are minority, uh,
Mhm.
yes, we are growing really, really fast, which is absolutely amazing, and I'm loving it. But I think platforms like this provide not just a like kind of a way or an opportunity for a community to come together, but I think it also kind of provides that a little bit shift in the power dynamics in the way how this country's media operate and things like that. When you have like 130K plus followers, suddenly you become like, important. And
Mhm.
it is very, very important for us to create that kind of like a community spirit and coming together, because being a minority and being a migration community, it's going to take us some time to be noticed and to be taken seriously, and by doing this we can achieve that, and it's going to be a collective, and communities like this are very, very important. And also the sense of belonging, we
Yeah.
share a culture, we share a lifetime of like kind
Mhm.
of like the way of doing things, the way of the perspective. So I think it's very important for the new community or the new people who are migrating to Australia to have access to such community groups, because they can actually, it just makes that transition easy for them and provides them with the networks they require. So yeah, so I think it's very, very important to have many more groups, and even the groups like the Indians in Sydney, you know how many we are now. We are like about
120,
3%, about
1K.
3% of India, Australian population. We're
Wow.
growing really, really fast. So
Very, very
we should
fast.
have many more than 130K followers on
Yes.
this group. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Parvinder, for coming here today, sharing your thoughts, and giving us so much of information. It was very, very interesting and informative session. And thank you, everyone who is here today. See you next week with a new speaker and in a new interview. Till then, enjoy your week and have a good weekend. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you for coming, Parvinder. Thank you, Nadine.
Pleasure.
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 Yeah. See you.